almost 50 years after the Batman TV series starring Adam West and Burt Ward was taken off the air, the series was brought back as a comic book series called Batman 66, which is featuring the continuing adventures of this particular incarnation of Batman and Robin. Being a huge fan of the TV series when I was a child, I was of course excited that this series got announced, and now that I finally have got the first volume in hardcover, I think it's about bat time that we have a discussion! So I have been a huge superhero fan in general for pretty much my whole life, and I think, roughly speaking, that I have two things to thank for that. One is Superman 2, starring the late Christopher Reeve, a movie which we had taped on VHS, and I don't know how many times I watched it. And the second one was the TV series Batman from the 60s. And here's the thing, a lot of people of course hate the 60s TV series with Adam West because it's so much lighter, goofier, campier than many other incarnations of Batman. I suppose that the movies by Joel Schumacher, Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, also left us a bit scarred when it comes to campy Batman stuff. But it seems that it has gotten okay to like a lighter Batman now. I mean, there's Batman the Brave and the Bold, the Lego Batman games, which I already touched upon in my Lego movie video. Fictional characters should be able to be enjoyed in different versions. The fact that this is the Bright Knight, as Adam West said it himself on Kevin Smith's podcast, Fat Man on Batman, you know, that's one thing that got me into superheroes. And just a couple of years after I discovered Batman through this, I saw the first Batman movie by Tim Burton. That made it perfectly clear to me that things can be done very differently with one character. It can be fun, it can be serious, it can be campy, it can be gritty, it can be pop art, it can be gothic, and so on. This was of course made as a parody during the 60s as a part of the pop art movement. I of course took Batman extremely seriously and didn't realize how goofy it was because I didn't have anything else to compare it to. So about this particular volume, let's have a little look through the pages. Well, it begins with an adventure with my favorite villain in the show, the Riddler himself. One thing that really hit me when I started reading this is how much I love the art, namely the art by Jonathan Case, who's drawing several of the issues, but not all of them. One thing that did bother me a little at first was this blue shade over the lining, almost like it's badly printed, which makes things look a little bit blurry, but I got used to that really quickly. I suppose the idea is to convey the feeling that things are moving around in the panels, and now that I think about it, it actually works. Also, I love the fact that we get to see the Batmobile doing some serious stuff that we weren't able to see in the show. I mean, they made it look like this fierce mechanical beast that comes roaring out of the Batcave. But now it even leaps through the air, chasing Riddler's airplane and such. Also, they're teaming up with Catwoman, who, as far as I can remember, was only a villain in the TV series, whereas in the comics she is more of an anti-hero who fights Batman one moment and teams up with him the other, as in this case. And she's even trying to go straight, so it's really great that they are incorporating things from the Batman mythology in general, and adding things that didn't really happen much in the show. When they take Catwoman to the Batcave, at first when they give her some bat knockout gas, bat sleeping gas, and she wakes up in a Batmobile inside a Batcave. She's wondering how they all could fit into the same car when it's only got enough place for 2 people, and they never answer that question. And then on the same page, Batman is using this device that is obviously a 3D printer, something that didn't exist back then but exists today. And that is obviously an homage to how they were using this technology that really wasn't that common in the 60s, but has become very common to us in the 21st century and even before that. So that's beautiful to me. So Emperor Penguin. Penguin teams up with Mr. Freeze to create an iceberg outside of the Gotham Harbor, so they have to blackmail ships to be able to dock and make deliveries. So they are pretty much like a bully in a school corridor, forcing smaller kids to give them their lunch money. When Batman gets into a fight with Penguin's goons, the Penguin is yelling at them for always grabbing him by the arm so he can fight with his leg, like kicking them and shoving them away. I don't think they ever mentioned that in the show, but it's so great that they are actually addressing that here. For the most part, Batman becomes the prisoner inside of the iceberg, and it's actually Robin who saves the day. And it ends with this really precious moment of Batman telling Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara that all success was thanks to the quick thinking and sure action of Robin the Boy Wonder. And Robin has this really proud expression in his face going, "Gosh!" And yeah, that is so gorgeous. Next story, Chandler's Chanteuse, with 2 villains from the show that I don't quite remember. Laurie Cersei, who looks incredibly gorgeous in this comic, I have to say. Nice job by Case here. Accompanied by Chandel. Laurie Cersei is hypnotizing people with her singing, and Batman comes to the rescue, but she's using this drug that causes him to hallucinate, getting some extremely psychedelic and trippy art here, including Robin as an actual Robin the Bird, Chief O'Hara's leprechaun. Yeah, it's a bit stereotypical, but it's funny. Anyway, Kathy Kane showing up as Batwoman. I am 100% sure that we never saw Kathy Kane or her alias Batwoman on the show. So it's pretty cool that they used that as well. After that we got Joker Sees Red, a story focusing on the Joker because of a criminal named the Red Hood, who looks a lot like another alias that he supposedly had before he became the Joker, depending on how you interpret those scenes in The Killing Joke. But anyway, so they approach Joker about this fellow at Arkham Institute, where they meet up with Dr. Quinn. Not the medicine woman played by Jane Seymour, but I guess it's supposed to be a retroactive Harley Quinn. See, there's another real cool thing, that they are adding characters who didn't even exist when this show was being made, but who were made up years later. So, one thing I appreciate here is that they actually make the Joker here seem both dangerous and frightening. I never got the feeling that the Joker was either of those in the show. I mean, this guy stole a goldfish from a pond or a fountain. Next we have this really brief adventure with Egghead, who was played by Vincent Price in the TV show. Well, I really think Vincent Price was an awesome actor. I thought that Egghead felt like a pretty dull villain. And I get the feeling that Jeff Parker, who wrote this, also felt the same, because they are pretty much poking fun at how much of a one-note villain he is. He is dropping Batman and Robin, who are tied up from a blimp, into this huge egg-shaped vessel, and after he's gotten rid of them, he instantly regrets his one-liner, because he says something about them being scrambled, and then goes, "Scrambled, scrambled, I had it all worked out. My final riposte was to be enjoy your new form as egg drop soup, but that cowl cretin angered me so I blurted that simplistic scrambled jape." That's kind of like, you know, with Dr. Evil in the Austin Powers movies, how they are poking fun at villains talking so much and doing monologues. After that we have this story, the Hatter takes the crown, and then I have to go on a mission in London, England. And it's so hilarious that they have a Batmobile and a plane and a helicopter and a boat, all of this stuff. But when they are going to London, they use a commercial jet. Well, they are dressed as Batman and Robin. And still they are bringing Alfred with them and claim that they borrowed him from Bruce Wayne since he knows the area so well. That is just... that kills me, really. So, and the villain here is, of course, the Mad Hatter, who's obsessed with hats, stealing the royal crown jewels from the Tower of London. And there's this really awesome chase involving floating motorized hats, top hats. Something you never could have seen on a live-action TV series from the 60s. So again, awesome action stuff that the show gets retroactively in this comic series. A follow-up adventure. There's also one thing I enjoy, that in the TV series there wasn't that much of continuity. By the end of the show we got some you know, cliffhangers for what would happen next episode, but they didn't much talk about things that had happened in earlier episodes. Not that often anyway. So Batman and Robin are celebrating their victory against Hatter along with Scotland Yard, and then Batman gets this hunch that only he can get. So suddenly they realize that there's something going on in the Big Ben, and it's Clock King. There's this interesting fight with some Clockwork Knights armors. After that, another villain that I don't remember much from the TV series, but he was there apparently. Sandman. This time this was drawn by Ruben Procopio, and well, I think he draws the characters a little too cartoonish, at least when you see Bruce and Dick outside of their costumes. This villain, Sandman, is using this sand or sleep drug that puts people to sleep so he can get information out of them while they're unconscious. And Batman and Robin do something they normally wouldn't do: stay up late at night. Yeah, it's an unusual thing for Batman and Robin. But it's really nice to see Batman getting out of this simply by using his head and figuring out that he's dreaming while Sandman is trying to, you know, figure out where the Bat Cave is located. So Batman gets himself out of sleep by forcing himself to activate a sleeping alarm in his belt. Wow, he thinks of everything. Last we got an adventure with Batgirl, because Batman and Robin are out of town and they've gone to Japan to fight Lord Deathman. For those of you who don't know who that is, there was this manga, a Japanese comic strip about Batman and Robin, and Lord Deathman was a villain made especially for that series. And it's really cool that they actually make a reference to that. This final story with Batgirl on her own, beautifully drawn by Colleen Coover, who makes it look like an Archie comic. She's fighting Catwoman, specifically the Catwoman played by Eartha Kitt as Catwoman. And we also get a little more psychedelia here, but in a more feminine way, you could say. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's kind of a more kitschy, playful way that it's drawn, but I highly appreciate. And that's the first volume of Batman 66, and I definitely want to read more. I hear that there's this crossover series with the Green Hornet, which is sort of a sequel to a two-parter where Batman and Robin actually did get to meet Green Hornet and Kato. I also think that there are a lot of other stuff that they could make crossovers with. For instance, I'd like to see these guys meet Derek Flint from the spy comedies Our Man Flint and In Like Flint. And also there was Legends of the Superheroes, these two specials that were made for TV in the 70s, where they got Adam West and Burt Ward back as a dynamic duo, teaming up with some other superheroes, sort of like Super Friends. So I think that would be a great opportunity to make a series based on that and have, you know, the dynamic duo meet other villains who normally fight other superheroes, or the other way around, have other superheroes fight villains from the TV series, you know, Batman. Either way, I really enjoyed reading through this volume, so I can't wait to get my hands on some other volumes in the future. So, in conclusion, great job DC Comics, particularly Jeff Parker who wrote this, and many of the artists, particularly Jonathan Case, Joe Quinones, Colleen Coover. I mean, all are good, of course. There's not a single bad artist, even though everybody is not my cup of tea. Anyway, great comic based on a great TV show, which not everybody appreciates, but to those who did appreciate this, lovely read.